Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. The Kansas City Chiefs offense includes probably the marquee player in the entire NFL with Patrick Mahomes. This offseason, a lot of the sort of traction in the media has been looking at the offensive line positions, in particular the left tackle spot where Joshua Simmons might be emerging as the dominant force, which would be the left tackle for probably the remainder of Patrick Mahomes' career. At the wide receiver position, the Chiefs boast what I think is one of the deepest top four receivers in the entire NFL, and with Travis Kelce at the tight end position, and the Chiefs constantly bringing in more tight ends, including recently re-signing Jorquarius Spivey. The tight end position is always talked about here in Kansas City as well, but this offseason, one of the position groups that has been largely abandoned in the media is the running back group. But we have an article today that goes over why Kareem Hunt might be one of the best jewels in sort of a minor way on the roster. And I want to talk a little bit more about the running backs in general, including one guy who has been overlooked completely, but I think is going to be a very large part of this offense if he can get his season off the ground. In an article titled NFL Luxury Players in 2025 Season, Best Slot Corner, Backup QB, and More from ESPN by Bill Barnwell, I want to get the intro to this because I think it's important before we get to the actual snippet on a Chiefs running back. For all the superstars the Eagles had on offense during their two Super Bowl title runs over the past decade, three appearances also, by the way, players who were in what are commonly characterized as situational roles might have played just as big a part in their victories. In February, it was third defensive tackle Milton Williams tormenting. Okay, we don't have to read that part. We're going to skip that a little bit for obvious reasons. In 2018, it was reserve pass-catching back Corey Clement racking up 100 receiving yards, third-string tight end Trey Burton throwing a touchdown pass, and, of course, backup quarterback Nick Foles adding his touchdown catch with 373 passing yards and 3 scores. Let's celebrate what I like to refer to as the NFL's luxury players. No organization builds a roster prioritizing its swing tackle or fourth wide receiver, but it can sure be a useful way to have in a weekly game plan. These players might have been limited to one role or certain snaps, and they aren't necessarily going to be that caliber performer if given a larger role in 2025. We should laud them for what they are and how effective they were at what they were being asked to do last season, though. Included in this list at short yardage running back is Kareem Hunt from the Kansas City Chiefs. The league's best back in short yardage is about to become a luxury with an expensive contract in Los Angeles. If rumors are true, Kyren Williams gets a new deal with the Rams, and Coach Sean McVay and company will be locking up a back who has gone 39 of 45, 86.7% in converting third or fourth downs in 1 or 2 yard to go situations the past 2 seasons. Now, why they want to make this largely about a different running back, I don't know. Just list that running back. But he is more than just a short yardage back, but he has been particularly valuable in that role for the Rams. Limiting this pick to backs who aren't standouts in other ways, the best option is Hunt, who was forced into a lead role with the Kansas City Chiefs last season after Isaiah Pacheco went down and rookie Carson Steele fumbled away his opportunity. Hunt wasn't great. We're going to get to that in a minute. But one thing he did well was convert in short yardage. He went 15 of 18, 83.3% in those situations. 1 year after he went 15 of 20, 75% in those same spots for the Browns. Doing that for an offense that relied heavily on converting third downs and wasn't willing to run Patrick Mahomes on sneaks was a critical piece of the puzzle for Kansas City. With Pacheco back to full health and free agent Elijah Mitchell joining the mix, it would be a surprise if the Chiefs relied on Hunt in a featured role again in 2025. They won't. However, he could be useful in a useful third down running back in the right situations. He will. So if we look at the season that Kareem Hunt had last year, we remember this stretch here: 27 carries, 21 carries, 22 carries, 27 carries. basically 2 weeks after he was re-signed for the Chiefs, he was not active against the Falcons in week 3. It's hard for me to really come to terms with the fact that he was signed in week 3. It seemed to me, in retrospect, that he was like a mid-season addition. But no, Kareem Hunt was here for most of the year. And he had 2 100-yard efforts against New Orleans in that 27-carry game with a 3.8-yard average where he added a touchdown. And then later in week 9 versus the Buccaneers, when he had another 27 carries for 106 yards, averaging in that game 3.9 yards per carry. We look at this season had by Kareem Hunt, and he played in 13 games for the Chiefs, had only 2 100-yard performances, and there were several times, like week 13, where he had 7 carries for 15 yards, and the very next week, 5 carries for 16 yards, averaging 2.1 and 3.2 yards per carry, respectively. And it would be easy to say, well, he just got worn down the entire time. He did not have a full season. He was pulled into the Chiefs in week 3 off of the couch. That's true. Kareem Hunt did struggle a little bit at times for the Chiefs. He did get worn down, but with a full offseason, it is unlikely that that happens again. One of the things that we have seen from Kareem Hunt, despite the fact that he's getting older, is that he is able to bounce back. Now, the playoffs weren't so great for Kareem Hunt, but that is not something that is going to be expected of him going forward into the 2025 season. As this article alludes, it is likely that Kareem Hunt's role will be diminished, but that will not hurt Kareem Hunt. That will benefit Kareem Hunt. He will be in shape this season. He will get those short yardage carries. And guys, Kareem Hunt, if there's one thing we know about him at this point, it is that he falls forward. That is a very big thing, a very underrated thing in the sport of football. Falling forward, you can gain an extra 2 yards just from the fact that you were, in fact, tackled. And Kareem Hunt is a battering ram in those situations. He does not go down easy. It is one of the things that is very impressive about Kareem Hunt's running style that does not get talked about enough is how few direct shots he takes. He is a very wily running back with the ball in his hands. He does not square up people as often as a running back his size often does, thinking, well, I'm just going to win it this way. No, he makes it harder for the defender. He makes it harder for the defender to tackle him. He makes it harder for the defender to get a clean shot on him. That's one of the reasons that when he came in, he was able to get all of those carries, something that we have seen from Isaiah Pacheco over the past few seasons. His entire NFL career to this point has been he's not very elusive. He will run straight into people, and that is a large criticism of his game that I have had for a couple years now. He hasn't really learned not to take the clean shot. He hasn't really learned to make himself a small target, and that's something that, ironically, the much bigger back, well, maybe not much bigger, but visually bigger back, Kareem Hunt, does very well. So these conversions on 3rd and 1 are going to be huge for this offense moving forward. Now, let's look at these running backs, because it is something that is very impressive this offense has done. They have collected 3 running back types in 4 running backs. You have Kareem Hunt here, 5'10", 216, with a 4.6 40-yard dash, a 36-inch vertical, 9-foot 11-inch broad jump, 18 reps on the bench press. This is a power back. This is a power back that is elusive. This is a power back that's going to get 3rd and 1, who's going to convert 2nd and 3. He's going to be able to do those things for this offense. Then we have Isaiah Pacheco, who sort of by the measurables is a franchise back. 5'10", 216, 4.37 40-yard dash, 33-inch vertical, 9-foot 10-inch broad jump, but he put up 27 reps on the bench press. This is a workout warrior. I dare say that in a different era of the NFL, Isaiah Pacheco would be one of those guys when you had bigger guards, you had bigger tackles, and you had bigger linebackers as well, that would have profited a little bit one of the things that is a strong suit in Isaiah Pacheco's game, but he's going to have to figure out how to use, is an elite 10-yard split at 1.49. This guy gets off the ball fast. If he could get a little bit of wiggle in his game, it would go a long way for him. I think a couple years with Kareem Hunt in that same backfield might help Isaiah Pacheco really figure some of that part of the game out. A guy who has yet to go over 1,000 yards, but who's been close a couple of times. And if he adds that elusive mark to his game, it will be something that can push him over the 1,000-yard mark. It will be something that makes him perhaps infinitely more valuable to an offense. Then we have so those are two kind of different types of running back, a power back and what would have been a franchise back in a different era. What would be, I think, perhaps a franchise back in this era if he were able to clean up some of the short yardage things in his game. Then we have two running backs that are the same sort of mold of running back in Brashard Smith and Elijah Mitchell, two undersized, very fast guys who do have some wiggle to their game, even if their measurables don't necessarily show it. Brashard Smith, 5'9", 194, with a 4.39 40-yard dash. One thing that is, so Elijah Mitchell has a 4.35 40-yard dash. So when you start looking at this running back group, there's three guys, 3 out of 4 players have a sub 4.4 40-yard dash. Absolutely unimaginable in a different age of the NFL. But Brashard Smith adding 32.5 inches on his vertical jump, not an explosive guy that way. 9'9" broad jump, not an explosive guy that way. A converted wide receiver in Brashard Smith who's going to make his money not getting hit directly on. A guy who's going to make his money down the field, perhaps. We have seen this preseason Brashard Smith catching passes downfield. And if the Chiefs can add that to their offense as well, lining up with, three wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back, then you motion Brashard Smith out wide. You get a linebacker motioning out with him because it's man coverage. Patrick Mahomes is just going to give him the wink and say, downfield. Just go, baby. Just go. And that could be something, if added to this offense, that is absolutely monumental. Not to mention the guy that I think is undervalued, the guy that is not getting any of the hype that he should, Elijah Mitchell here. 5'10", 201, 4.35 40-yard dash. Another elite 10-yard split with a 1.51 10-yard split there. But he added those explosive numbers as well. 37.5-inch vertical leap, a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, 17 reps on the bench press, competitive there as well. Good for second on the roster, right? And then the 20-yard short shuttle of 4.2 and the 3-cone drill of 6.94, proving out that he does have the wiggle in his game to really make some noise. I want to look at his RAS. Look at all of the green on your screen. Now, there's some red as well. He is a little bit of a smaller back. That has perhaps contributed to the worst part of his game, which is his injury history. He is coming back from an injury onto the Kansas City Chiefs. But that 37.5-inch vertical leap is an 8.81. That 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, a 9.61. Those are both elite numbers, a 9.44 overall RAS. Then we get to that right column there. No red at all. A 40-yard dash of 4.3, well, they say 4.38 here, is a 9.83. A 10-yard split of 1.51 is a 9.7. These are all scores out of 10. 9.7 out of 10. And then you get to the all-important agility numbers for a running back here. The short shuttle of 4.19 is a 7.88 score. That is a good number, not an elite number. But 7.88 out of 10 is nothing to sneeze at. That 3-cone drill of 6.94 with an 8.06 number grade there, 8.06 out of 10. Elijah Mitchell, if he's able to be healthy, if he's able to be on the field, if he is able to be even a shade of what it is that we have seen from him in the past, Could be. So Kareem Hunt here is noted as a gem in a role for the Kansas City Chiefs, a short yardage running back there, Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs. But looking at Elijah Mitchell, looking at Brashard Smith, these might be guys who have even smaller roles this 2025 season, but in my opinion will comparatively come out on top as far as the impact on the game. You think about a game and 3rd and 1 converting into a first down. You don't remember all of those. But a guy like Elijah Mitchell taking a flat route, catching the ball, and turning it upfield 45 yards for a touchdown, you're going to remember that. And that is what this running back group is going to be able to do for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have collected a lot of running backs here, 4 running backs who will all have genuine roles in this offense, genuine roles in what it is that Andy Reid wants to do, genuine roles in helping Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt on 3rd and 1, Elijah Mitchell and Brashard Smith in the flats, maybe even downfield. We have elite speed from both of these guys. Both of these guys can catch the football. And then you have the bell cow in Isaiah Pacheco, who's going to be taking 1st and 10 carries and punishing the defense. That is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. We are over 2 years of consecutive daily uploads, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.